Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Corbett, Chair of the Ohio Rail Commission, and I'll call the meeting to order. We have project partners and members of the public participating online using GoToMeeting. I'd like to thank Mike Fitch from ODOT's Local Technical Assistance Program, who's assisting us today. GoToMeeting. Mike, would you please give everyone online an overview of what to expect?
Thank you, Chairman Corbett, and good morning, everyone. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all comments are a matter of public record. As you already know, all attendees in the GoToWebinar platform are muted, but participants will have an opportunity to speak following the presentations. Please refer to the GoToWebinar panel on the right side of your computer screen. You're most likely listening to us using your computer speaker system by default. If you experience any audio issues and would like to join by phone instead, please click the arrow symbol next to the word audio to expand the audio section and select phone call. The dial-in information will then be displayed. You are welcome to submit questions at any time by typing them into the questions box of the GoToWebinar panel. After the presentations have concluded, there will be time for comments and discussion. You may proceed by using the questions box, or you may click on the hand icon to raise your hand. Each person will be unmuted when it's their turn to speak. If you are joining by phone only or would like to provide input following the meeting, please email your questions or comments to Wendy Jervan at wendy.jervan@dot.ohio.gov. With that, we will turn things back to Chairman Corbett. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Beal.
Present.
Commissioner Durger Roberts. Commissioner Jackson.
Present.
Commissioner Lampy.
Here.
Commissioner Lozier. Commissioner Fleck. Here. Commissioner Ryan.
Here.
Commissioner Richter. Commissioner Zitter.
Present.
Chairman Corbett.
Present.
Representative Grimm. Representative Senator Pucci. Senator Tuck.
Representative. Thank you, Megan. Do we have a motion to approve the July meeting minutes? A second? Second. Commissioner Jackson. Megan, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Beal.
Yes.
Commissioner Durger Roberts. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Lampy.
Yes.
Commissioner Lozier. Commissioner Fleck. Yes. Commissioner Ryan.
Yes.
Commissioner Richter. Commissioner Zitter.
Yes.
Chairman Corbett.
Yes.
Corbett, we have 7 affirmative votes, so the motion is approved.
Thank you, Megan. Moving on to staff reports. Matt, please give your director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. My report begins on page 9 of your budget packet. A couple of highlights I want to make note of, and then answer any questions. First, last week the governor announced the application of the Great Elimination Program. As a reminder, this is the governor's initiative. It was originally introduced at $125 million. It passed the General Assembly in House Bill 33 at $100 million. The applications are live. To date, we've already gotten 4 applications after 1 week. They are exactly what we thought they would be. It's everything from fully developed projects all the way to communities identifying issues and problems and needing help develop formulated solution for those. So very happy about that. In addition to that, for those of you who are involved in the budget process, there's notice. We made note of a lot of the communities that have expressed interest. We are in the process of notifying all of those communities to make sure they are very well aware of the application process. So please get the word out. A real heartfelt thanks to Sarah on staff who put together the application process. She made it very, very easy. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback. And we've even modified the application a bit for some of the headings based on some of the feedback we're getting. So this is really a very flexible process. We really want to make this open to all the communities, especially the small ones that don't have the resources to access the federal applications. The other thing I wanted to note is that on this agenda, the projects on this agenda these are all possible because of the additional resources proposed by the governor and passed by the General Assembly. The level of projects that we're doing now in this meeting and the last, those are ones that we would have never been able to participate in had it not been for the support we received from the administration. So I just want to make that a note. You know, you're seeing larger dollar values, but a lot larger impact. We would have never, in the 20 plus years I've been here, participated in a bridge replacement program. It seems like a million years, but it's only been 20. A bridge replacement program or project that would have never happened. So this is a pretty phenomenal thing. Under passenger rail, we're still kind of in a holding pattern waiting for the FRA response on the quarter ID applications. We are involved with the FRA, Amtrak, and other states on looking at the south of the lake issues, which is a congestion east of Chicago. That's continuing on. And then you'll make note, I won't go through the details, but we are wrapping up some of the previous federal grants. So, you know, as you know, it's one thing to get the announcement, but you know, the difference between a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting, you know, we're getting to the rail equivalent of the ribbon cutting. They're finishing up and they're successful, so we're pretty happy about that. That is all I have right now for the commission. So I will be happy to take questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
On the application of the communities are relevant also invited to apply.
Good question.
Yeah. Chairman Corbett, Commissioner Jackson, that's an excellent question. The applications themselves are limited to the communities. We are encouraging railroads to reach out to communities where they have issues or have had longstanding concerns, or in some cases, communities where, especially on the class ones with passing siding projects, things like that, that would benefit railroads to encourage communities to apply. But we have limited to communities because these are essentially roadway projects. So we need the communities that own, or the entities, I should say, that own the roadway structure to apply.
Gotcha. Just a follow-up.
Sure.
Have we targeted maybe the various governmental relation departments at the railroad to participate in with the community? Because I'm wondering if all of, particularly the class ones, are aware of what's going on in Ohio with respect to the various programs.
Rusty Orban is one of those such individuals, and he's very well aware of it. And for NS, Jason Wazell, as well as Will Miller, we've made sure that we're aware of it. Some of the projects we know that they've been in this outreach. Give you an example, Circleville. We've been working with Circleville on a project. They were at all the meetings we were at. So there is no, at this point, we'd rather get all the ideas in to sort through than anybody self-editing.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because I know, like, at NS, for example, we have a really, really involved engineering department that works well with the highway side as well as the rail side. And making sure we're engaged would be critical because we can provide those services as well. Services are typically free of charge. So,
There's actually on the application a radio button or a checkbox where it says, you know, do the railroads know about this? You know, have you talked to the railroads about this project? You know, are they engaged already? So that is actually one of the vetting processes.
great. Thanks for that, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
Chairman Cormitt?
Yes.
Thank you for the feedback. Is there a deadline for these applications, or is it open-ended?
It's open-ended. You know, we're trying to play the long game with this because there are 4 rounds. We went through the statistics yesterday from the last round. Megan, they approved, what, 60, rejected 90, and I think over 50 were deemed ineligible. So looking at the pot that were either deemed ineligible or were rejected, we have, you know, it shows that there's a role for a program like ours to help people, you know, get moving. And they, I say that because it's rolling. There's a 4-year program. We know it's oversubscribed. So not only do we want to get projects in for these applications, but we also want to develop this pipeline of projects with the hope that this project or this program gets renewed in further transportation bills. So we're ready to go. So we will, at the time of each NOFO, we'll make a decision point what we want to submit to that round, but we want to continue to encourage people to submit applications. That's a lot of words, I'm sorry.
Well explained, thank you.
One of us understood it.
Any other questions?
Just one more.
Sure.
When we get regular updates in terms of the applications, like this one's been awarded, this one will start on the days, here's what's involved. I think it would be really beneficial to the commission on the program.
We had talked about that. There's an internal working group that's working on these things right now. The way we thought we would do it is, like we do for other awards, when we apply for federal awards, we come to the commission asking for approval to sponsor projects and things like that. We would just wrap these into the same approval process.
Okay, great. Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Great, thanks, man, for your report, appreciate it. Thank you. Move on to the finance report, Megan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report begins on page 11 of today's meeting packet. There are 2 items that I wanted to note for the commission. The first is at the May meeting, the commission approved a $750,000 grant for expansion of the Newark yard. And because of favorable pricing, the railroad is actually able to include the installation of a second new track at Newark yard. We knew at the time that we approved the project that there was more work and more capacity that was needed at Newark yard. And so this is really good news that we were able to essentially double the expansion that we were otherwise assisting with at Newark yard. I also wanted to note, as a follow-up to the Johnson Carlos report from our last meeting, that we were successful in obtaining reimbursement from Mitsubishi Chemical Performance Polymers. They had fallen short on their commitments on 2 position grants, and so we prorated the amount that they owed based on what they did achieve, and they have fully repaid that amount. So good news there as well. One item that's not on my report is related to the state rail plan. The commission approved funding at the last meeting. It was $250,000 from the commission, $250,000 from state planning and research at ODRC, and what we expected was going to be a cost of $500,000. The total cost came in at $503,521, and so we conferred with council and determined that the additional $3,500 is within the director's signature authority, so we will be signing off on that after the meeting, and we will be able to proceed with the contract for the state rail plan. Lastly, I just wanted to point out that the tentative 2024 meeting dates are included in today's packet. They're on page 21. And so, commissioners, if you could please have a look at those and look at the conflicts, we appreciate it. And we will publish a final schedule in the November commission packet. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions from members of the commission? Hearing none, we'll move on to projects for approval. We have 3 projects on the agenda today. The first project is for JSW Steel out of Mingo Junction. We're going to pass over that item today. We have some potential conflicts and we don't have a quorum to vote on that, so we're going to pass over that. We appreciate JSW to hold off on approvals for this until the next meeting. So thank you very much for doing that. Our apologies that we just don't have enough members of the commission to vote on this with the conflicts that we have. So we'll move on to project number 2, which is Newburgh and South Shore Railroad, and that'll be Tim Brown. Tom, you have a lucky day today.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you can turn to page 27 for the marshalling yard rehabilitation on the Newburgh and South Shore Railroad. A little bit of context. We do have Nate Mazzo from the railroad, and Doug Ernst, who's also from Omnitrax, who will be able to give some more details on the project. But just a little bit of context. This is kind of for fans of railroad history, an interesting example of the transformation of a railroad from a kind of exclusively on-plant railroad that served the steel industry in Cleveland, being transformed to a much more diversified railroad that still happens to serve a steel mill, but also serves numerous transload customers in the Cleveland area. So, Nate, Doug, want to give some project details and benefits? That would be much appreciated. Oh, yeah.
No problem.
There's a microphone.
Stuff to mic here.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nate Mazel, General Manager for OmniTrax here in Ohio for operations. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys this morning. Really appreciate the support. There's been 2 other previous projects that the state has provided a lot of support on. Really appreciate it. For this project here at NSR, we'll put 3,800 cross ties in, replace 7 switches, huge yard. We're going to surface 2,400 feet of rail there to support the ongoing operations for our customer base there, safe operations. And I'm going to throw this in here too. I'm Doug, the sales guy, I'm not the sales guy, but to also support the first EV locomotive that's going to be operating here in Ohio too.
So I apologize in advance for the question.
I like to talk trains.
Do your education.
And Doug knows this. I get kicked off a conference call. They're like, wrap this up. So let's talk trains.
Yeah. So could you help me understand in terms of the EV capacity to pull?
Sure.
How many? Is it weight that you look at? Is it number of cars?
It's the number of cars.
Is the capacity the same as the diesel?
So it's going to be the same as the diesels that we're currently using. So without going into too many details, you have limiting factors. The frame length determines how many batteries you're able to put on that locomotive. The engineers we work with, they try to create a product where the power's not stepping down from 1,000 volts to 400 volts to 220.
Yep.
So we're not losing power in that way there. So we have equipment on our current locomotives. The engineers, they were able to see what we do on a daily basis, gather that information that was coming from the diesel itself, the tonnage we're pulling, the carloads we're pulling, and they're able to spec out what the current batteries that are on the market right now, the computer chips, other equipment that's out there to formulate this locomotive that we're using here, or will be using the EV locomotive.
So you're doing your own spec vehicle, right?
Kind of.
Kind of mass produced.
No.
We're going to try it and see how we do. And
Correct.
You can't go buy these at
Correct.
Walmart.
So the other locomotive, the other battery locomotive, and that's in actual operation right now is at the Port of Long Beach. I was actually going to give their GM a call and say, hey, how's it going out there? So the other EV that I know in operation came from Progress Rail, shipping out to Long Beach. So they're shaking down that locomotive right now as we speak right now.
So we're really in the very developmental stages.
Yeah, we're out there.
Did you say 10 hours of operating time?
Yeah, about 10 to 12.
And 6 to 7 hours of recharge?
Yep.
And three-phase power recharge, I presume, like great big, like is it at the steel mill, or you shouldn't have any trouble getting power there because of the...
So it's commercial power, the power company, so it came in and stuck a new pole with 3 transformers. Don't ask me the voltage up there.
Get that part.
Yeah, so there's 3 transformers, and we had to build out new infrastructure, to carry the wiring across the roundhouse. We have a 1916 roundhouse. So we ran, the power lines up, over, down to the transfer box. There's a transformer, some more circuit breakers, run power back over to the charging station, and the associated boxes for the charging station there.
I'm so sorry, I don't mean to dominate the conversation. So are you using just like off-the-shelf commercial vehicle batteries? Did you get
so these batteries are actually, I think the only other industry that are using these type of batteries are are the bus lines, the intercity, public transit bus lines.
So not
your
Stanton.
partner with a firm like that, since they had that battery, where they source the batteries from, has some understanding of a transit system and the related components that are associated with the vehicle itself, like the air compressor, air conditioners, cameras, stuff like that are on these units here.
Thank you, I'm sorry, I know I got.
Oh, you're fine.
And I would take up all your time.
Yeah.
Oh, either part. So I buy your one.
Not to keep this going, but, I'll keep it going. If it sounds like an emerging, product line, please share the Ohio's, willingness to, pursue manufacturing these here.
Okay.
From the Department of Development perspective, we would be interested in, another new, sector for Ohio.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yep,
Yep.
no problem.
No problem. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 23-11? Commissioner Flex. Yeah, second?
Since I took up all the time, I'll just.
Is there a second? Commissioner Lampy, any discussion? Megan, would you please take the roll?
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes.
Commissioner Lampy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiltshire? Commissioner Flex?
Yes.
Commissioner Ryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Richter? Commissioner Zitter?
Yes.
Commissioner Beal?
Yes.
Commissioner Durgan Roberts? Chairman Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 affirmative votes for the motion.
Great, thank you. On to project number 3, Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway. Tim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you can turn to page 32. We have one fewer agenda item, but we're back in Mingo Junction.
Right.
Exciting. Commissioners may recall the March 2023 meeting, a project in Mingo Junction involving the same bridge was for a $250,000 grant to accelerate some critical repairs to this bridge over State Route 7 piers. And that project was completed really less than a month after the commission approved that grant. So we have Nick Straub and Mark Spatlick from Wheeling Lake Erie Railway, they're gonna give some further details. They have a PowerPoint presentation too that'll go over the projects. But upon evaluating further repairs to the bridge's superstructure, determined that a complete superstructure replacement on the existing repaired piers would be the best course of action from a financial and from a kind of public and railroad benefit standpoint. So, Nick, Mark, I believe Wendy's going to advance through the slides.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Good morning, Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Nick Straub, Project Engineer, Bridge Program Manager for the Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway. Here today to discuss, as Tim mentioned, the superstructure replacement project for our bridge K91.59 over State Route 7 in Mingo Junction, Ohio. And the next couple of slides, we're going to cover the history of this bridge briefly with the roadway and the current steel condition, which is the basis for this project. The spring critical work completed, as Tim alluded to just earlier, changes to the original scope and drawings that we covered here, the reason for this presentation today, and then the project cost and funding requests there at the end. Next slide, please. Thank you. Just a brief history again on this bridge. Across the State Route 7 along the Ohio River is a critical piece of infrastructure for both the Wheeling and the state. It carries 100% of the train traffic for the Wheeling in and out of Pennsylvania and West Virginia, as well as crossing the busy State Route 7, carrying thousands of vehicles a day. This structure was originally built in 1903 by the Pittsburgh and West Virginia Railway, and at the time, only one road, Commercial Avenue, was carrying traffic under the center span. Next slide, please. Based on our historical records, in 1939, the state route system crossed beneath our bridge is seen there highlighted in the red, but it was just under that center span as mentioned before. Then by 1959, all the spans were occupied under grade by roads. Each roadway section is called out in the red boxes. If you can see on your screen, the blue boxes are bridge. And when northbound and southbound lanes were expanded, commercial avenue was rerouted, we had road underneath all three of the spans. This here is showing the existing steel condition of the bridge, showing combined effects here of 120 years worth of train traffic and Mother Nature, as well as 63 years of road salt moisture, which have had a dramatic impact on steel corrosion. Briefly sum up, as Tim mentioned at the top, the spring column repairs that were completed in conjunction with the ODRC original grant. We performed these emergent repairs on the intermediate bent columns to strengthen the bridge foundation from the ongoing previously identified deterioration. And as some of you may recall, that funding request, the substantial repairs we've been planning for on this bridge for the past 3 years, these were part of the steel repairs that were originally discussed, and then these were completed with that grant. It was originally slated for the fall 2023 completion with repairs to the rest of the bridge. They were expedited due to that critical nature and funding assistance to ORDC, which we greatly thank you for. Which brings us to the subject of today's presentation and the reason for the funding requests, which are the changes to the remaining work. After those emergent repairs were completed, we performed some additional cost analysis on the remaining structure and the remaining repairs to make sure we had the most economical and longest lasting repair possible. So we explored the full superstructure replacement, cost and design life versus just the remaining steel spot repairs that were already contracted and slated for. And we want to make sure, like I mentioned, we want to make sure we have the best solution long term. The findings of our analysis showed that the full superstructure can be replaced with new steel for a 15 to 20% cost increase, and the following significant benefits. Lay them out here, I'll briefly sum them up. 100% new steel from the column repairs that we just performed this spring up. Design life of this repair is 75 plus years for all the components. Design strength, as with the superstructure replacement, we meet current AREMA E80 loadings. Currently, the bridge, as it was designed and built 120 years ago, is for E60 loading. The new superstructure will have painted steel, providing additional corrosion protection from the road salt spray. Typically, what we're planning for is weathering steel on repairs, which is an industry standard, but with the new superstructure, we can add additional corrosion protection from the road. And no need to revisit the bridge for additional repairs in the near future, which is we expect 5 to 10 years based on additional corrosion to members throughout the bridge that would not have been replaced with the original scope, but in the next 5 to 10 years would have probably corroded to the point where they needed to. With the superstructure replacement, would endure shorter duration traffic disruptions during construction. Crossover between the northbound and southbound lanes may still have to occur for the maintenance of traffic. However, the duration with replacing the superstructure versus working and replacing the components of it, the duration of that would be greatly reduced, which would result in fewer traffic disruptions in the future, as well as during construction, with no need for us to return for steel or tie work that would require lane closures, road closures, crossovers, etc. Next slide, please. Therefore, after completing all of that analysis, we move forward to propose and design the full replacement of 6 deck plate girder spans over Commercial Avenue and State Road 7 north and southbound lanes with new welded plate girders and paint protection. We are planning to retain the repairs to the cross girders and the 2 intermediate vents along the roadway. And the new design will provide 100% new steel from the abutments and encased columns up. Got it. Then brings us to our last page. Thank you. Project cost and funding. Budget for this revised project scope, superstructure replacement which includes, I've included here the spring repairs which we already performed, encompassing the total cost of this project that we see is $2.54 million. The remaining required maintenance and traffic budget is approximately $550,000 of that total project budget. And the Wheeling Lake Erie Railway is requesting funding assistance from ODRC of $750,000 at this time, and in addition to the $250,000 granted this past spring during the emergency repair. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer at this time?
Any questions from members of the commission? I have a question. So the $250,000 we approved in March was for the concrete piers, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was for the repairs that were scoped, which were the steel repairs, which were then encased in concrete to protect them, and for the maintenance of traffic costs that were associated with that repair.
So I guess the point I'm getting at is this additional $750 the Rail Commission might provide was going to be needed anyways for this work. What I'm trying to say is that the $250,000 we spent in March was not frivolously spent, right?
No, Mr. Chairman, it was the intent behind that was to the critical repairs that were identified through a bridge inspection that ODOT performed.
Okay.
That grant allowed that work to happen within the month versus originally being scoped for later this year. With these originally scoped superstructure repairs to follow.
Got it. Okay.
So the grant request before you is intended for the complete replacement of the superstructure on the repair work that has been completed already.
Yeah.
That will remain in place.
And that had been done anyways?
Yes.
For this project?
Yes, that's correct.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Thanks for your presentation. Appreciate it. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-12?
I'll move. Zitter.
Commissioner Zitter, a second.
Commissioner Beal, second.
Commissioner Beal, second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Megan, would you please take the roll?
Commissioner Minty,
Yes.
Commissioner Lozier, Commissioner Flex,
Yes.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Richter, Commissioner Zitter,
Yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Yes.
Commissioner Durga Roberts, Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Chairman Corbett.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we have 7 affirmative votes, the motion is approved.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Committee reports, no committee reports today. Any old business to be discussed or considered by the commission today? I believe so. Or is there any new business to be discussed today? Hearing none, move on to the public comment period. Mike, would you please give instructions for members of the public on who would like to comment?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Corbett. We'll now have discussion of questions and comments. As a reminder, you can still submit questions through the questions box in the GoToWebinar panel, or you may click on the hand icon to raise your hand. And please state your name before providing your question or comments. And looking at the questions box, we do not see any at this time.
Okay. Any public comments from people here in the audience? Seeing none, thank you. That will conclude today's agenda. Thank you, Mike, for your help today, and ODOT for their assistance with today's meeting. With no further business to come before the commission, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.